Hey, folks, it's your buddy Mike Messier. It's a wonderful Sunday evening. It's the end of a very interesting weekend. Hold on a second. Just a second. A little bit of adjustments. And I thought I'd do a couple of things tonight. This broadcast, I think I'm on One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel right now as I speak, as you listen. Actually, it's Monday morning, 12:50 a.m. Monday Eastern Standard or EDT time. I will probably replay this on my other One Mike Messier channel, which has Mike's Instant Movie Reviews, because I'm going to kind of do a two for here, a doubler. I'm going to have a What's in the Box session, but also I want to talk about this documentary that probably a lot of you fine folks have not heard of, but maybe a few of you have. It's called The Mission. It's actually a National Geographic documentary. I saw it on Hulu. And this is not the film from like 30 or 35 years ago with, was it a Martin Scorsese film or some such thing? This would be a, uh, I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, this would have been a nice movie from National Geographic I saw on Hulu. I think it was made in 2019. And it takes place North Sentinel Island, which I guess is the fictional home of King Kong. And in reality, there are people there that, Americans or people on the, you know, English people or whoever, we kind of think of these people as uncivilized or that they live in the Stone Age. They're kind of hunter gatherer types. They're not really into our American or European or Japanese technologies. They use spears to fish and they cook, their food with fire and they're tribes basically, just like people. And they're doing their thing and throughout the last 100 years, or maybe 150 years, different groups, Europeans, Americans, Christians, basically have felt the need or the call to go over and try to convert these types of folks into Christians. And, I was actually living with someone a few years ago who did something like this. She went over to Guatemala on a church mission, which was interesting. But in that scenario, the people in Guatemala were actually already Christians, so they were much more accepting of the gifts and of the company and so forth. In this scenario, people are going to this North Sentinel Island to convert people who have never heard of Jesus, or if they have, they don't have a strong connection in any way, and they have their own beliefs, and they have nothing to do with the 12 disciples or of anything else of that nature. So the documentary, I think, does a really nice job of kind of balancing different people that were in this young guy's life. John Chow, I believe he was like just 20 or 23 years old. And John has a really interesting story. He's unfortunately passed away because basically what we're left to believe here, and I don't think they've ever found his body or anything, but basically, um, when he passed away, it's just assumed that the people, the tribe on North Sentinel Island, probably put a spear through his heart or through his head or through his neck, because apparently he had been warned. He had shown up to their island on like his canoe or his boat, his little boat, and he got off the boat and he was trying to raise his hands to show that he was not a threat or he had no weapon. And he lifted the Bible in the air. And I believe that in the movie it says that John's journal says that they shot a spear right through his Bible. And so he left. And, you would kind of think like, okay, he would kind of realize if they're shooting spears at him as a warning and specifically at his Bible that maybe don't come back, but he did come back. So I think the documentary does a really nice job of showing that these hardcore Christian folks are, they've been trained or they've been brought up to believe that the word of Jesus is for everybody and you shouldn't discriminate. And even if you're persecuted or become a martyr for the cause yourself, so be it. You will have your heavenly reward. But on the flip side of that, I mean, that's kind of what a lot of us, think was so crazy about the 9/11 attacks. If you're going to say that these terrorists had the idea that if they were going to take over planes and smash into the World Trade Center in the name of Allah or the name of some heavenly reward, we think that's kind of nuts. So, I mean, if you look at a much different case, obviously, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anyone in any of those situations, but John here kind of. And the talking heads in this movie, at least one or two of them say this, John was warned, and other people, other Europeans and Americans have been warned to leave these people alone, even through groups that work with missionaries. This island is not really a good place to go. And I think the doc's pretty damn good. I mean, also they use some interesting techniques just as a filmmaker. I appreciated that they had like a long email type of letter from John's father, who kind of gave his perspective on his relationship with John and his sadness about it, losing his son, and his perspectives on why his son got into this stuff, and he thinks his son kind of got too deeply involved with Christianity, and maybe people kind of speculate that John have some type of martyr complex. Um, but when they do that stuff with the letter from his father, they actually animate those sequences. When I say animate, like they cartoon. So I mean, you're watching this kind of documentary, and we are in the day and age, folks, where most even average civilians at this point, for the last 10 years at least since the smartphone, and probably before that, most of us at some point, or a good portion, have been videotaped. You know, we've been put on a phone, we've been on a podcast. So, I mean, just about anybody with any type of interesting life, or even half an interesting life, or you end up having an interesting death, there's going to be some type of video perspective that could be created from you. And I mean, I'm leaving a digital trail as we speak. You know what I mean? Like, if I think I have 4 YouTube channels now and thousands of videos. Some are good, some are not so good. But if anyone wants to do the case study of Mike Messier with a spear through my heart or not, the footage is there. So anyway, I was pretty intrigued by this documentary. I do have to admit, I was doing other things as I was watching it. I was making my abstract art. I don't know if you guys know, not many people apparently do, because the subscriber list is pretty small. But I'm actually got one artist, Mike Messier, is I think my 4th YouTube channel, which just basically features my art. I still feel like we're in the middle of 4th of July weekend, folks, which we're not. We're a week past it. This one I did on the 4th of July, which is kind of becoming a 4th of July tradition for me, is to make some type of American 4th of July art. So a 2-year tradition at this point. This one's pretty freaky. So go to one artist, Mike Messier, on YouTube if you want to subscribe and see the art as it comes out and is created. And of course, you can buy some of this stuff too. You don't just get to see it for free, you get the option of buying. So in any event, folks, the mission, I think what was kind of cool about this movie is that they talked to people throughout John's life, his young life, his buddies. There was a couple of females that knew him. One girl was interested in John, and he seemed a little inept at that. He seemed a little, as I think she said, that's what she said, that John was kind of singularly focused on the mission work, and maybe didn't have time for romance, or maybe he was a little awkward. We kind of get that impression. He does seem like a likable guy, but unfortunately, he can't really speak for himself now because he's dead. And there was this narrative film based on true events that the Mission documentary spoke about, called The End of the Spear, I believe. And I am actually going to put that on my to watch list. There's so many things, man. I just watched a bunch of I had like this Paramount trial subscription that I forgot about, or I didn't forget that I had it. I forgot the password. And it's because I had like one of my more obscure email accounts was to sign in. So I just went on to Paramount to dig up stuff in there and saw a bunch of cool documentaries. One was really sad. It was about the American history of lynching. It was pretty intense, and actually a very short documentary, but it was powerful, and just realize the depravity of that situation. Of course, some of you fine folks might be saying, "Well, gee whiz, Mike, we're all sitting on pins and needles for your response or your reaction to this attempt to murder a presidential candidate yesterday." I don't really know if I have anything to say that's going to be very enlightening to the conversation, except it seemed surreal. It did seem like some type of movie or something. Um, I see on Twitter or X, especially, there's a lot of debate on some folks think this was staged, but I would counter that. And believe me, I can go down the conspiracy rabbit hole just as good as anybody. And I don't blame folks for being suspicious of everything these days, but I would ask if this was some type of conspiracy or some type of staged event. We're left to see that a person in the audience got shot and killed that had a family, unless we think that's a hoax, which I personally don't think that's a hoax. And then the shooter got shot, like the 20-year-old kid who was on top of this building and shot at Trump. He's now deceased. So in my opinion, I mean, there are photographs, there are videos, uh, cell phones, smartphones, just people taking enough different camera angles that, I mean, it's kind of like, how much evidence do you need? And some people are pointing out, well, Trump said, wait, I got to get my shoes. And he said, wait. And he kind of pushed his fist. I would counter once again that, first off, the guys, the Secret Service guys, had already heard that the suspect was taken out by the time that Trump was looking for his shoes. They believed it was a single shooter. I mean, I guess this is all happening within seconds, so you would think that maybe they would take better precautions and not worry about the shoes. But I think that's just a very human instinct. I mean, I think if you've ever been in a situation where you're in a house or an automobile that's on fire, a lot of people are like, I got to get my phone, or I got to get my cat. And I like cats too, or I got to get my whatever, but phone, car keys, wallet. I mean, when you're in peril, a lot of times it's just instinctual. I got to get my shoes. I got to get this. I got to get that, because we all think like, hey, if I'm going to be walking around, I got to get my shoes. Now, I'm not sure why Trump didn't have his shoes on in the first place. That's maybe a good question. I mean, did he take his shoes off while he was doing the speech? Or in the fury of events, was he wearing like tieless loafers that maybe were just very comfortable and loose fitting? So when the situation, and I'm not joking around, it sounds like I am, but was he wearing loafers that were like slip-on loafers, and when these things happened, his shoes got loose? I don't know. I really don't. But I'm not thinking that the shoe line necessarily proves anything. And then even with Trump, pushing a little bit to make, get his fist out there to the crowd and say, fight, fight, fight. I mean, in Trump's defense of that scenario, or at least defense of this being realistic or real and not a staged thing, I think that's kind of on target for him, or what's the term that people use? On point, or on character, or on brand, I guess the kids say. But I mean, his whole deal is that he's this outsider and he's fighting the system and fighting for the common man. Now, whether you believe that or not, it's not my point. It's just that for him to shake his fist as an indignant, hey, you didn't get me, asshole. I mean, it kind of seems like what he would do. So, I mean, I think some people are trying to point to that, like, oh, how did he push by these? Well, I think, in some regard, the Secret Service guys, although they are highly trained, at least that's what we're told, um, it didn't seem like the A team out there yesterday. I mean, there were reports on the news or whatever I listened to, and I listened to NBC, I listened to Fox News, I listened to CBS, and they were all saying how great the Secret Service team was. I don't know. I mean, if this is all on the up and up, it didn't seem like a great team to me. But my point is, um, there's probably still some deference to a former president. You know what I mean? Um, in any event, it was a nutty experience, and I guess I just went against everything I said about not saying something. I just said something, but I'm hoping that and Biden and Trump, or at least Biden trying to make everybody come together right now over me. Well, that's great. But I think Tulsi Gabbard, if you really want to know my opinions on a lot of this stuff, Tulsi Gabbard articulates a lot of what I think better than I think it. I just recently reviewed her audio book on One Mike Messier. So in any event, folks, it was a nutty day. Let's get to the fun times. For those of you on the Pro Wrestling channel, One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan, you've just seen a different look at your buddy Mike Messier. Over here on this channel, I don't really, on One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan, this is where we talk pro wrestling and sports. And you're looking at this giant box. You might be thinking, well, gee whiz, Mike, why do you have a giant box in your hand? It's because now we're going to get to the fun time of our show, which is what's in the box. If you happen to be on YouTube or on Instagram, if you're on Instagram, you might want to come over to YouTube, One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan YouTube channel, because I might be losing you pretty soon. I'm not sure how long these Instagram live streams last, but if you happen to be there, in fact, I want to say a little join the fun. In case you're watching me on YouTube and you want to see what I'm up to on Instagram, that's where I point a lot of my artwork. I think I'm just Mikey Messier over there. So this is what I do. I order stuff. This I've actually had for quite some time. I've been saving this for a special moment. I'm trying to see if there's like a date. Like when you get something in the mail, is there like a on the sticker, because it still has a sticker on it, ship date? Get this. You want to take a guess when I received it, when this was sent to me? This was sent to me May 3rd, 2023 from El Paso, Texas. Yeah, breaking out the scissors, folks. So this is by the way, once again, if you happen to be joining me in live time, this is Monday morning, 1:07 a.m. I don't really have a schedule for when I do these live streams. I just kind of go, I call it in the ring, or I call myself to the match. But I know that this is your fetish. You like to see the cutting, you like to hear it. I'm being very delicate. And you might be wondering, well, gee whiz, Mike, I've literally had this thing for like 14 months, and it's pretty much been sitting by my feet for 14 months. For 14 months, I've said, well, I'll open it tomorrow, or I'll open it this weekend. This was a grab bag box on eBay, and I kind of go through little things on eBay. I have a store, The Foreign Object, all lowercase. Sometimes I buy, sometimes I sell, and this was like an interesting thing. It claimed to be an estate sale of like, oh, my uncle died and he left me all his sports stuff, and now I'm selling it. So I don't know if I'm a sucker or if I'm a guy who, I know you like that. I know you like that. But this is basically the grab bag. So I don't really know what's in here. I know that it's sports stuff from the supposed dead uncle of the supposed guy in Texas, El Paso. Nice salsa, by the way. There we go. So we might be here for a while, folks, because I'm just about to open it, but God in heaven. Let's take a look at how this individual, maybe I'll get rid of our little alien guy at this point, because he might be more trouble than he's worth. Let's see if I just have like a nice black background. Of course I don't. This might be good. Yeah, let's go with that. I just find that the normal background is boring. Okay, so here we go. So he padded stuff, which is a nice like trick, and I'll actually use these myself, Mr. El Paso, so they won't go to waste because I'll use these. I'm not going to throw them away. So it seems like we're very card heavy. It looks like there's two tubes. There was supposed to be like some special thing in this. And of course, it's far too late in the game, as they say, to like ask for a refund or whatever at this point. I mean, I've had this stuff for 14 months. So it looks like we got a bunch of cards. I'm kind of realizing like I'm not really a natural born card collector. I've collected cards. I do have cards, but I think I don't really like them. I should put on some gloves. Of course, I don't have the goddamn gloves on me right now. But I'll just make sure that I'm not oily. Everything's a pain in the ass. Let's see. I know you like the delicacies. I mean, I don't know if we're going to go through every single card at this point. Maybe we will. Oh my God. Oh, and then you have to be so delicate with this shit. You know what I mean? It's like I kind of just liked when cards, like you had like a Mickey Mantle and you had a Willie Mays, and you just didn't guys used to play like games with their baseball cards? It used to be just baseball too. Holy Christ. This whole situation is just a pain in the ass. So let's see what we got. We got like some Atlanta Hawks. This guy, was he like the European guy that like came over, Drazen? Was he like one of these European guys that was supposed to be a big deal? Was there an ESPN doc about this guy? Like he was kind of like the number one European dude, or was that somebody else? Khalid. This guy was pretty good. I remember him. So it looks like we got a lot of basketball. 2000. Who's this asshole? Is this like an owner, Dick Versace? Is that like an owner? Look at that hair. Is he a player? I've heard of this guy. I don't know, folks. I kind of have a feeling that the nephew took all the good stuff first, and he left the idiots like me with the crap. Uh, Rookie card of, was it like Lee Mayberry? I don't. George Tague. You can see my lack of enthusiasm. This guy's got like a nice Southern boy name. I guess I'm going to have to take this fucking background down, although I really enjoy using them. Hold on. I know you're getting upset. There it is. God damn it all. There we go. I just don't like having my real background. It's too intimate. Oh, dude. God damn it all. I don't know. It's just like a lot of people I've never heard of. But now I have all these fucking cards. Carlton Gray. That name sounds familiar. These are all people from like 20 years ago. And I guess, I mean, look, at the time I was in New England, the Patriots were the big deal. There's got to be something of value in here somewhere. Dexter McNabb. That's a familiar name. I don't know. Is that Donovan McNabb's younger brother or some such thing? It's exciting. I have this giant table that I'm using as a desk, and yet it's like there's a rule, like no matter how big your desk is, you're going to fill it up with stuff. Kind of an interesting card, like he's in the middle of the dribbling. Nice gentleman with like very armpity. It's like, okay, folks, you took like a nice picture of my armpits. You know, what I mean, it's not very flattering to Rex Walters. I mean, I guess they're athletes and all that, but it's like I'm just looking at this guy's armpits all day. Derek Harper, nice gentleman. Of course, the lighting's all fucked up here. Everything's askew. Heard of this guy, Jeff Malone. Was he a teammate of Iverson on the Sixers? Looks like a big gentleman. Oh boy, I have watched an ESPN documentary about this individual, Christian Leitner. I Hate Christian Leitner, I think was the title of the doc, so that might be worth something. He was on the Dream Team, 92. Here's a gentleman I've heard of. Xavier McDaniel, the Celtics. I don't think he was around when they started to win. Yeah, he was done, I believe, by the time they started to win something. It's just interesting, like, you know, some guys like, you know, the Kobe's and the Shaqs of the world, even the Charles Barkley or whoever, uh, their names live on, you know, 10, 20 years. But like some of these guys, you know, were decent and they were well regarded when they were playing. But, you know, 15, 20 years later, Glenn Rice, it's like, who? Who are you? You know what I mean? Rick Mahorn. But these guys, hopefully, they're all doing well. You know what I mean? I guess they don't care about me. I don't know why I care about them. Now we get into some baseball. So as you can see, I think for like 5 minutes I was like thinking like, oh yeah, you know, I'll get into card trading again, and that'll be like a thing for me. And then obviously it hasn't turned out that way. So I don't know. I think this is one of those deals where like I was more excited about the buying than I am about the having. It's just Doug Flutie. Yep. That might be worth a nickel in 10 years. You know, it's just like you get yourself excited about stuff and then you get it and then it's like, oh, okay. What's next? That's pretty much. So now I've got to like I've got stacks and stacks of this shit, folks. I just can't deal with it right now. But let's see what's on the other. I mean, we got a whole other thing here. Oh, that's a nice card. All right, so we got a Jason Kidd on the front, and we got a Jalen Rose on the back. Now, wasn't Jalen the guy that was married ever so briefly to Molly, to Miss Molly on my show there, the show that I watched, First Take? Um, so now there's a whole other thing. I mean, basically, the bunch of cards, and we got this odd situation. It's just like I need like a personal assistant to help me organize everything. I'll be taking applications. So there was supposed to be like some. This has got to be more cards though. This feels like it's going to be like some hockey thing, like 1994 hockey cards or some crap. Like it is supposed to be like some special item, and I just feel like it's more cards. So I don't. This seems like it's a year. Like this is like a whole set. So I think I'm just gonna like open this, be very delicate with it. Oh my god! I wonder if this is. Where's my goddamn gloves? Jesus H. Fuck. I mean, do you mind if I get my gloves? Well, I guess you're gonna have to. Excuse me for just a moment. I'm going to. Well, I can actually get them. No, these gloves are dirty. Hold on. I want to get a pair of gloves. Everything is just a pain in the ass, isn't it? Oh, God. So let's see what happens. Ah, for Christ's sakes. I don't even know if these gloves are going to fit. I can't even tell which hand they're supposed to go on. I feel like Mickey Mouse. Does Mickey Mouse have 5 fingers on each hand? I mean, I guess a mouse really doesn't even have hands per se, or fingers. They have claws. But I mean, maybe a mouse were to say, I do have hands, and you humans have piffery-doos. You know what I mean? It's all perspective. Okay, now that we're gloved up, I know you like to see that. Oh my God. So he's got like this whole fucking thing. He left like a whole little thing of a jag. So he kind of crammed like whatever the golden arches were. Like, okay. So what do we have here? Ultra football trading cards. 91. So that's kind of interesting. And then he kind of like chisel fucked like some other stuff. My Christ. God damn it all. Is this like a piece of the game? Gavin Floyd, what do you think? An official autograph of Gavin Floyd. Now, look, I'm not a big Phillies fan, so I can't really. I mean, the name is vaguely familiar. Classic clippings. So, all right. Gavin Floyd. Any Gavin Floyd fans out there, contact me. We can make a deal. I mean, I can't say I'm the biggest Gavin Floyd fan. Let's put this here gingerly. There's so many sports, though, unless you're like the giant big sports nut. I always like that when they say, you're a sports nut, aren't you? Yeah, I'm a nut. I'm a sports nut. Who are these assholes? Oh, Barry Sanders. That's nice. Okay, now we're talking. Barry Sanders and Herman Moore. Okay. It's a nice card. I mean, Jesus, all this fucking light and all this horse shit. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. The glove. Gary Payton. Okay. You know what I find interesting is when they have like these what is it? Goji emoji or whatever the fuck, or Pikachu cards that are going for like all this money. Like, this is a $2,000 dick in the ass card. I'm like, why? All right. So he's got some stuff. These are like very tightly compressed. Okay. So he's got like, these are like in soft covers. So I think I'll just see if I can get a few of these out of here without disrupting them, for God's sakes. It's like you need a scalpel. Of course, I could use my fingertips, but I don't want to get my fucking hands all over them. Jesus H. Everything's such a pain in the ass. All right. Put the glove back on. So everything's really a pain. You know what I mean? If you really think about it, it's just like everything you do in life is just one pain in the ass thing to do after another. And then you're dead. And it's like, well, what did I get done? I don't know. Uh, went to Price Club, got a haircut. Let's see. Who's this guy? So we have some unsheathed gentlemen. These cards are unfortunately discovered like those Dunruss are not really worth anything. This is kind of interesting. A historical moment with Benjamin Franklin. That's interesting. Okay. I haven't seen that before. I believe I've actually met this person in person. Art Monk. I believe a young Mike Messier met Art Monk. So that's nice. Very exciting. He was a Super Bowl champion with Rigo, John Riggins, Joe Theismann. Look at this. This is a really cool card. I don't know if the player is that good. That's a nice card. I like that. That celebrates the thrill of victory. That's cool. Vincent Brisby. Looks like I got a twofer coming up. I got a double E. So this is exciting. I mean, somewhat. Dion Glover. It's actually not a double. They both just had the red background. Andre Miller. I watched this program that the Amy Schumer show. It's not the it's Life and Beth. It's a good show. Season 2 I watched today, and they go to New Orleans, which is why I mentioned it. Well, folks, this is just so much fun. I mean, I remember when I got these, I was kind of getting into the whole live streaming thing, and I'm like, oh, this will be good conversation fodder. And then I just never did it until now. So hey, folks, we finally got around to it. Bobby Ingram looks like a nice gentleman. I guess I wish I knew sports better, because then I would have all these interesting insights. No wrestling cards and these things. God damn it. And the light is not helping our situation. Jesus fuck. God damn it. Nudo Ebi. Sorry. Zarko. I wish I had some good stories about this guy, but I don't. I really just don't know sports very well. Like, I know people that probably all the people that the nephew went through and took out. I probably had like something funny to say about all those people. But there are some good things. I mean, we had a Barry Sanders in here. I guess I'm getting a little bored of this. No offense, because you've been such good company with all your comments. Jared Goff, didn't he end up winning a Super Bowl? Didn't he win a Super Bowl with the Eagles? University of California, Berkeley. So that's kind of nice. That might be worth something. That might be worth 2 nickels. Oh, for Christ's sakes. I don't know. Just trying to do something with your life. Here we go, folks. All right. Well, I guess we could do this all night, but we won't. We'll call this a wrap. I mean, there's so many cards here. We could be here well beyond my tolerance for this exercise, your tolerance. 14 months in the making. Of course, I did double this up with the the Mike's Instant Movie Review of the Mission documentary. So I hope for those. And see, here's the thing: I'm never going to be able to get those cards. All came in this thing, and now I can't get them back in. They're just there's no way. You know what I mean? And I don't want to squish the cards. I really don't. So I'm going to have to just figure this out. I really don't want to squish these nice cards. And he's got like some cards kind of like jiddle fucked in the sides. So like even in this perimeter, there's like a couple of cards he's wedged in there. Which I mean, it depends on how you look at it. It's like I guess they weren't compromised, but you know. So I mean, think about the dude. If that story is legitimate, not the Trump thing, but like the story that it was the uncle who passed away, and like because it wasn't just one box. He was selling like hundreds of these boxes. So I mean, maybe it's just a story tells, and then he just takes like all these random cards that nobody wants or whatever the fucks, and just throws them out there. And then piddle fucks like myself think it's like a big deal. And then we get bamboozled into this. But I do recall that I didn't pay a tremendous amount of money. And I was like pound for pound, this was probably a good deal. It gave us this time together, if nothing else. And that's worth all the stars in the universe, isn't it? So that's about it. I mean, but now it's like funny because all the cards that I took out and I kind of like placed around me, I'm really paranoid that if I make one wrong turn of the elbow or my gloved hand, that I will have knocked over something important. And then I'd feel like a giant asshole. Like, oh my God, I knocked over whoever the fuck. You know what I mean? So this is probably the big thing of this. Maybe that was like the special bonus thing. Who's this guy again? Gavin Floyd. Let's look it up. I mean, while we're here, I didn't want to go down this internet road. Now, am I supposed to use my gloves to type? But I guess I will. So hold your horse. Gavin Floyd. I mean, I guess I don't have much of an opinion on him. Is he alive? Gavin Floyd, born whatever the fuck. Born January 27th, 1983. Well, happy birthday. He played for the Philadelphia Phillies, Chicago White Sox, Atlanta Braves, Cleveland Indians, and Toronto Blue Jays. Where's the card? So this is with his time with the Phillies. 4th overall selection of the 2001 draft. He played from 2004 to 2016. Career statistics, listen to this. Win-loss record, 74 and 76. Earned run average, 4.37. Strikeouts, 985. Batted right, threw right. Did he ever win anything? Seems like he was kind of a middle guy. It just seems like he was just kind of, I mean, I don't know. You tell me. I don't want to insult this guy or his wonderful career. But it's like, did he ever win? Is he a winner? I mean, his career, and I know that in baseball, like the win-loss is a little tricky because it depends on how your teammates did with the batting. I mean, I'm sure he's a nice guy. Let's go to fucking eBay and see if there's any market for this crap or this wonderful card. Classic clippings. God damn it all. What if it's worth like $10,000? It's probably worth like $6. Oh my God. Well, someone has 2005 Fleer Classic Clippings Chase Utley Gavin Floyd, but it's what do they call it, boarded or whatever? When it's like someone's got it for 9.99, someone's got it for 20, someone's got it for 10.50. Okay, so I think we get the idea. This Barry Sanders card, I think. I mean, of course, now it's buried. I've put it away, but the Barry Sanders and the other guy card that kind of stuck out. Very exciting. I guess you got to put in the word card because otherwise you might be looking at jerseys and so forth. It was a card with him and some other dude. For Christ's sakes. Now, do I want to go back? Because now I'm just like scrolling through a million cards. This really is problematic. Oh my God, I actually found it from the top. So it's Sanders and Moore, contenders playoff. Barry Sanders and Herman Moore. And someone had this labeled at $15 once upon a time. I'm also going to look up that pack. So let me go back, folks. Thanks for your patience. Well, we are a hospital. Barry Sanders, Herman Moore. For Christ's sakes. It didn't really come up. Let me look this up. Sanders Moore contenders playoff. This is such a pain in the ass. What's the most like okay, I found it. Does it have the B? No, it doesn't. So the one that I'm looking at has B and E on the side, and this one doesn't. So I'm not really. I think I found what I'm looking for. So this one says $7.15 to $8.59. It looks like the same card. This eBayer has a 99.6% positive. I actually have 100% right now. Although one bad review or one average review can really screw you on there. So I don't really, you know what I mean? So it looks like it's $7.15 is what this one individual is selling it for. Oh, okay. So, I mean, there's probably enough stuff in these giant box of stuff to earn my money back. But then the thing, remember, folks, and I'm keeping it real in the 2-4. I guess I just don't enjoy this as much as probably some of you would. I mean, I'm kind of enjoying it, but I'd rather be reading or painting or one of the other things that I do so well. Here we get to some old school baseball guys. Here we go. Yeah, I kind of like this more, to tell you the truth. And then look, a Hartford Whalers card. I was just watching a YouTube video. Some guys got like, dude, where's my franchise? He talks about hockey franchises that have come and gone. I was actually at a Hartford Whalers game once upon a time. And for you wrestling fans, I was with Rich Iabuchi, who became a pro wrestling commentator, I think, for Ring of Honor and for NXT. He was on, I think he used a stage name, but his real name was Rich Iabuchi. Nice guy. And he was a big hockey fan. He was a bigger hockey fan than he was a wrestling fan. Okay, now we're cooking with gas. Phil Bork, heard of him. Pittsburgh, probably someone I saw play against the Capitals. So we're getting into some stuff that I can be more interested in. So this looks like a 91 card because the last year it's listed as 1989 to 90. Uh, Randy Carlisle, I think he's become a commentator for hockey, if I'm not mistaken. Winnipeg Jets, and I think Winnipeg Jets are no longer a team. So that's exciting. I don't know if hockey is a big thing for cards either. I mean, it might be. These hockey cards seem a little smaller. Russ Courtnall. I mean, overall, look, I've got a little piece of fur on me, a little piece of lent. Or God damn it all! Very exciting. Dave Babbage, I've heard of him. I mean, I gotta clean up this act here, folks, because I've got like a glass of water dangerously close to everything. So I'm getting nervous just being in this situation right now. Like this is one of those things where like, oh, he had just mentioned he had the glass of water before he knocked it over. So I think I'm gonna respectfully tune off. It's currently Monday morning. Like I said, if you happen to get through this experiment, uh, this broadcasting live on One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan, the movie reviews I typically do on One Mike Messier, the wonderful art I do on One Artist Mike Messier. For my films, go to One Man in a Camera Films on YouTube. All this excitement. We talked about a lot of things. We had such a moment together tonight. We discussed the Donald Trump stuff. We discussed that. Oh, I guess I would go back to the Mission documentary. If you've come this far, what's another 5 minutes going to be? But I think the most interesting thing about that documentary was really um, this American or this European desire to push the Christianity down other people's throats. And is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? And I like that this documentary allowed me and you as the viewer to kind of make our own opinion. It didn't really stick an opinion down our throat. I think it could be a thing where confirmation bias, wherever you are on that conversation, is this is this idea of mission work, is it kind of like an ego thing? Is it the Americans or the Europeans feeling like they have to free people from their own beliefs? Or if you were to be a Christian and you're reading the Bible and you say, well, Jesus tells me to go out and spread the good word to all the people in all the lands. Well, I mean, if that's what your beliefs are, why wouldn't you do it? So, I mean, I think that's why I like this doc, and I would suggest it because it's not really preaching on one facet on this topic or the other. This is the Mission documentary. I watched it on Hulu. It looked like it was made in 2021 or 2022. I do recommend the doc. I do see that my buddy there, Mohammed Saeed, has checked in at least on Instagram for a few minutes. I don't know if you're still here, Mohammed. Kate's Evelyn has joined on Instagram. I don't know if, to no offense, Kate, but she one of these people that has like a really attractive Instagram photo, so she might be spam, but maybe she's real. I mean, I guess it's a compliment to say to a young lady, "Hey, your Instagram profile pic is so attractive, you may not be a real person." You know what I mean? Because for the most part, when I get these friend requests uh, from these like model types, they're not really people. Mark Gebhardt is a nice guy from Jacksonville. I haven't seen Mark in a while. Our paths have not crossed in person in 3 or 4 years. Last time I saw Mark, he was working on a magazine of sorts. So I hope Mark's doing well. Well, folks, we had a wonderful time tonight. I'm waving goodbye with my Mickey Mouse hands. And thanks for joining the fun. So, One Artist, Mike Messier for the art, One Mike Messier for the movie reviews, One Man in a Camera Films for my films. And you can see my latest AI supported work, the Cold Still Place, this Cold Still Place, and One Pro Wrestling and Sports Fan for the Pro Wrestling and Sports. Mike Messier saying good night or good morning.